What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another live to roll for you guys. We got an awesome show for you, awesome guest hanging out with us today. So let's get into some intros and we can start talking about some OI awareness here. I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Bobby, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. We got a great show. I'm Bobby Rohan, C56 quad as well, living here in Southern California, Orange County. And man, 2 days, beautiful day. Got some miles in on pushing, but can't live any better than that. So with that, let's move it over to a better and more beautiful person than I am. Tom, take it away, my friend.
I'm shaking my head because I'm trying to live like you, baby. You found the magic recipe. I'm just trying to follow those, instructions and keep it in the right order so I can end up like you one day. But what is up, everybody? It's your favorite quadriplegic, or at least your top three, T. Fizzle, aka Tom Conaway. And yeah, coming at you today from beautiful, sunny Southern California in my nice, not so well lit apartment. But we are talking about a interesting disorder. I'll use that descriptor. We are talking to a really, really cool individual, a friend of the show, somebody you might recognize. We've had the pleasure of having on before, Mr. Tony Jacobson, aka DJ Tony J, in the building. I'm gonna toss it over to you, man. Can you introduce yourself?
Yo, I'm gonna play a little bit of this. Yeah, let's go. Let's get a little sound effect going. Oh yeah, here we go. We'll do this.
DJ Tony J in the mix.
There's my drop.
I love it.
What's up, everybody? I think we can all agree we're all trying to get to Rob status. I want to say that real quick. I'm trying to get there too.
We are all trying to be like Bobby. That's for sure. So, Tony,
hard.
take it away. Tell us about yourself, man. Remind us who you are. Oh, there we go.
Hey, I was just fussing with my intro. Sorry about that. What's up, everybody? It's so great to be back here on the Live to Roll show. This is so dope to be back. Thank you so much for having me today, especially because this week is what we're calling OI Awareness Week. It's National OI Awareness Week. OI, for those who don't know, is Osteogenesis Imperfecta. That is the rare disability that I have. And really easily, in layman's terms, it's brittle bone disease. So we can just go with that. And you can just call it OI. That's the easiest way to refer to it. And this week, May 4th through the 11th, is OI Awareness Week. And yesterday was so cool because every May 6th is what we like to call Wishbone Day. And that is the International Day of Awareness for OI. So that yesterday was a big day. And I actually have my mix show on Mondays, and it fell on Wishbone Day. So I did a little show, and I was talking about OI, so it was great. And I'm so happy because Shawn was like, hey, you want to jump on the show tomorrow and continue to spread awareness about OI? And I'm like, well, heck yeah. So I'm so happy to be here. And is that enough of an intro? What else should I say?
Yeah,
Keep going. No. OI. So you were born with it, obviously, you said.
And for people,
I was born. So yeah, OI is a rare disorder. It's genetic. I actually was born with it, and I'm what they call a spontaneous mutation. So neither of my parents have it, and most folks, though, well, you can either be spontaneous mutation or one of the parents has it. And if you do have it, you have a 50-50 chance of passing it to one of your children. So, but I was a spontaneous mutation of it. I have what is considered type 1. There are 4 major types of OI, but there are 18 different types that are classified up to this point. And they're all different severity levels and all different types of the DNA, how it's structured, etc. But type 1 is considered one of the mildest forms. Type 2 is considered what they call fatal. Most kids that are born with type 2 do not make it, or they don't even make it to birth. Type 3 is more severe type, and then type 4 is closest to type 1, but it's a little different. So there's 4 major types, and then every type after that is like a spin-off of 1 through 4. So yeah, there's a lot of types. And what else can I tell you about OI? It's very rare, of course, to be a rare disorder in the United States. I think it's under 20,000 people. So it's one in every 15,000 people, I think, has OI. It's very low. It's anywhere from 25 to like 50,000 people. And so it's not very well recorded, because a lot of people that have type 1, like me, they may not fracture throughout their life. They may break their bones maybe once or twice. So they don't even get tested, and they don't get diagnosed officially, right? So there's a lot of people that we don't know that may have it, but we don't know that they have it. And then, so the severities are very different. Some people, like I said, can break once or twice throughout their life. Some people break hundreds of times throughout their life. And the different severities have different ways of getting around. So maybe some folks will use a wheelchair. Some folks might use another mobility aid like crutches or canes. And then there's other folks that just walk around like normal. So yeah, there's all different types and severities. So that's kind of like the spectrum of what OI is.
That's pretty strange where, with a spinal cord level, we know that C1 is the worst in the sense that we're on a ventilator, can't move much of our upper body, and then it goes down to where T12 is, or L1, or L5 is you got a lot of function. But your type, when you said the 1 through 4, it goes low, severe, then back to low. It's kind of weird that you had like one, you would think it would progress or something with your number system.
Yeah, and we get confused with it too. Like a lot of people that are new to OI sometimes will get confused with that, and it's the same. Even as you continue past type 4, it's the types don't go by severity. So it's a really weird classification how they're doing it. But we all just do our best to figure out where we fit into the system, and and that's what we'll claim. But most of the time, we talk about type, but it really is just based on severity and like what we're able to do and our abilities. Other characteristics are like deformities, bone deformities and stuff, based on like how long people have broken or how many times they've broken and stuff. So it's really all about that when it comes to OI.
So you said you're a spontaneous mutation. First question is, does that mean you're able to join the X-Men? Two,
Yeah.
what Wolverine and
Yeah.
Cyclops like in real life? I'd like to know.
They're both really cool dudes, and I didn't make it very far in the academy. I got kicked out pretty early because I didn't follow the rules.
Part of my
I
joke
do have
there, I
titanium.
just had to. You said you're a mutant. I'm like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do have titanium steel titanium rods in my bones. So in both my
Dang, so
legs,
you're halfway.
in all the
You're
long
halfway
bones.
there.
So I was
You're
going to ask
halfway
you,
there.
Tony, what the because I know I've actually been listening to your book. We got your book on Audible, Unbreakable. So been listening to some of your
That's
story and
dope.
stuff. So I know you started out most of your early life in a wheelchair, and then kind of progressed to like using crutches, and then eventually had a surgery that really helped, be able to actually walk again.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of explain that journey for you too, and like what it was like, growing up in the wheelchair, and how many years
Yeah.
you did spend living like that?
Yeah, so it was pretty much, I used a chair pretty much all through my childhood, and it was for the majority of the time to get around. There were small bouts of like maybe getting up and using a walker at times, but I was breaking pretty much every 3 to 4 months. I would break a leg or break an arm, and or break some bone somewhere. So I used a chair pretty much until high school, when I had started to transition a little bit. So mostly with OI, when people get through puberty, there starts to be a time when the bones start to be a little bit stronger. So for me, it was the same thing. And so as I was getting into high school, and I was feeling a little bit stronger, and I would start to use crutches more. So then I ended up really saying I wanted to walk on crutches more often, and so I got up on the crutches more often. And then I started like going to school on crutches, and that was like the time that I mark as the time I started using crutches like all the time. So I would only use the chair like if I got hurt, then I would use the chair. But for the most part, then I was on crutches. I think that was in my senior year of high school, when I was going into my senior year, and I had used a wheelchair up until then. And I was like, you know what, I want to walk on crutches at school next year. So then that's when I really started walking on crutches full time. And then I was on the crutches, and then when I started college, still on the crutches. And then, yeah, when I was 24, I had a surgery. And this surgery was to fix the rod that was in my leg. I keep saying steel rods, but they're not steel. So I had this, I had a rod in my leg. And years prior, like during high school time, I fractured it, and the rod had bent like 35 degrees in my leg. And so I was walking on the crutches, and I didn't get it fixed at that time because I was in high school, and I just didn't have the wherewithal to go through surgery, and I was just living life. So I didn't have surgery, and I was okay on the crutches. So what happened when I was 24, I think I fractured it again, or something happened. I went to my doctor, and he said, "Look, we're gonna do this surgery finally, and we're gonna replace that rod for you." So I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So everything fell into place, and I was absolutely able to have that surgery. And then what that did was it straightened out my leg, number one. And then number two, it made both my legs the same length, because up until then they were like way different. And then and number three, my doctor, as crazy as he was an awesome dude. He was like, you know what, I think it's time for you to get off of the crutches and start walking. So he actually got me up on my feet for the first time without anything, like just stood me up and was like, all right, let's start walking. And so it wasn't like an immediate thing, but that was the time when I started practicing more and starting to walk. And of course, I still held on to things and used the crutches every once in a while, but that's when I started walking unassisted for the first time when I was 24. So that's kind of like the story of how that happened.
Wow.
You know,
24. So well into your adulthood. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty. It's pretty impressive. Crazy, different kind of story. I haven't heard too many stories of people walking or learning to walk so late in life like that.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Very cool.
Thank
It,
you.
so
Yeah, it was very I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time. I was just kind of doing it. I look at it now, and I understand the importance of it, and I understand what that meant now, as far as my transformation through my, a time of being resilient and growing and doing something new. I just didn't understand it at the time. At the time, I was just scared. I was just like, man, I'm afraid of falling, breaking, and I continued to break, and I continued to fall, and like have broken bones after that. But yeah, just mentally, it was a really strange situation for me to have to go through during those years.
yeah.
um,
Well,
I,
I didn't transfer until it was like 15 years after I was injured. It was like close to turning 22, and like learning, figuring out if I was going to be able to move out and stuff. And that's something that I do like to remind people of on the show. Is like it's never too late. Like some people like start at the beginning, and like figure some of these steps and some of this stuff out early on in their recovery and their injury, or their condition. But it's also never too late to create a positive change in your life if that's the direction that you want to try to go. And I mean, seriously, like the first time I transferred, I was like 16 years old. It was like took me an hour to just get from my chair to the bed. But now I'm like a transfer unit. I can like hop in and out like it's nothing. And like for a long time, for forever, I just never even imagined that it was possible. And I don't know, it's just amazing that after being bound to mobility aids and stuff for so long, that you're able to get to a point where you could choose something really impressive and cool like that too. Sorry to cut you off, Bobby. What were you gonna say?
No, no, no worries. So many questions came to my mind, and I think I have three major ones. One, when you break bones, is it I've never broken a bone able body where I felt it, but I've had a couple friends where I've seen them break bones and it looked very painful and they were screaming. So when you break your bones, is it painful, or is it because the bones are weaker? Is it not as painful? What's the experience on that with the pain? Is it major?
Yeah. Yeah, I think OIers definitely have a high tolerance for pain. So I remember it being painful when I was a kid, but at some point it would just be kind of whatever. Like things, it got to a point where I would break something and I would feel it. And of course, just physically, your body's doing some stuff, so you would feel some pain. But really, I mean, I remember a few times when I would break and like when I was using crutches, I would remember a couple times when I would break a leg, but I would still just kind of continue throughout my day and just continue to walk on it. I mean, I would have to be careful, but by that time I had the rods in my legs, so the bone wouldn't like go all over the place. It would be held with the rod. So yeah, I remember times when I would just continue walking, and then I would go and say, "Hey, mom, I broke my leg, I think." So and then we need to go to the hospital or something. There were even times when I would break and we wouldn't go to the hospital. We would just wrap it up and this is a story that a lot of wires will tell. We'll break something, and as long as it's not out of place, put an ace bandage around that bad boy, and then wait for it to heal, because there were so many times when that would happen. So that happened to me a lot too. So yes, to answer your question, it's not as painful as I think, say, someone without OI experiencing a broken bone, just because
Stronger.
I've gone through it
So,
so much that my body's kind of used to that.
or is it not as painful because the bones are weaker, maybe, or you
I
just
don't.
because it happens so many times that you get used to it?
Yeah, I think it's just because of that. I think it's because of just having gone through it so much and understanding what things are going to feel like when they break. I remember a couple times though, like when I broke my scapula, so I broke my shoulder blade. That was one of the most painful breaks. That was the first time that I had broken it. That was like early college years. I was intoxicated, thank God, that night. And I remember I broke it, and I was in so much pain. So that one was painful. I do remember it. Luckily, like I said, though, I had been drinking, so it wasn't as painful. But I remember being in the ER early in the morning, and then really experiencing pain after that for the first few days. And that was, I think, because it was a new break for me. But most of the breaks, like in my legs, man, it got to a point where like literally it wouldn't hurt that much.
And so with the fragile bones, is your skull just as fragile?
Oh, that's a.
Meaning if you took a fall and like is it going to break just as easy as your legs?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean everything can break the same. Everything can break the same. So I don't know if, because it does affect all the bones. So OI is a collagen disorder. So the main part of the body that it does affect is the bones. However, it does affect all of our parts because of the fact that it's collagen, and that's in everything. So our bones are mostly fragile. And I don't know. That's an interesting question. I would love to find that out. Our parts of our body may be stronger than others, right? I would love to know that. I
Yeah.
can't. I can say that I feel, when I was a kid and I was like using the wheelchair, my upper body was a lot stronger. And I feel that I didn't break as much in my upper body during times like when I was playing wheelchair basketball and I was like really strong in upper body. I felt that, I could take a hit on my arm and it wouldn't fracture. And so we do know that, bone density does come from resistance training and from exercise. So possibly that was helping to increase some of that bone density and strength during that time. So it could be, but from what I know though, like everything's fragile.
Yeah. Well, and you answered one of my questions. Probably, that is true. Where you think, using the parts of your bones, the more we use it. Like for us, it's standing frames. It's kind of been written as, get in a standing frame. It's going to help your lower limbs of your body and strengthen. Keep that calcium in the bones a little bit stronger. So.
Yep.
So yeah, I can imagine your upper body was probably less resistant to breaking bones than your lower. One thing you said about the rod in your leg and getting it replaced was that I have a rod that's been there for a long time, and when I broke my hip, now I think it's 4 years ago, and it was a difficult surgery because the plate they wanted to put on my hip was going to interfere with the rod. And I'm like, well, just take out the rod. And they're like, it's not that easy. Everything's kind of grown over it because it's been so long. Did you have that issue with, and I've heard it's difficult and pretty, like more complications can come from removing a rod. And that goes, with some of us on SCI with rods in our neck or our back. If you don't take out the rods in your back, and I've heard more than a year, then it becomes a very difficult surgery. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, I think that in my case, luckily it was going to be replaced because that is a big deal. So if they do take a rod out, and some people I've heard of OIers having rods taken out and not put back in, and they've been okay. But I know for me, they took it out and put in a new one. So it was replacing that, hollowness through the middle of the bone. So yeah, I had mine replaced. But yeah, I've heard the same thing where a lot of OIers can't get the rods taken out because it is just part of the bone. But I've heard all the cases though. People have had rods yanked out. People have had rods put back in. Tons of other hardware, plates, screws, you name it, and they've had it. But yeah, I still have my rods. I don't plan on ever changing them or anything at this point. They're just there. So yeah, I figure at this point, why bother?
Yeah,
That's
the
actually
surgeon goes, you don't want to take out that rod. I'm like, really? He goes,
Yeah.
please don't do that. So yeah,
and yeah.
go
So
ahead.
I just had one question also about the rods. When was the last time that you had like your set replaced? Was it back when you were 24, or have they been replaced since, or was that just they've held up and you're good since you're
Yeah.
already full adult, grown, you weren't growing anymore, stuff like that?
Yeah, that last one when I was 24 was the last replacement. And then before that, though, that was my last surgery, and that was the 12th surgery. So all the 11 before that, well, I would say probably 9, because the first few were just other surgeries to like straighten the bones and stuff. And then I started getting rods put in. And then, yeah, every few years they would go in and replace them. And during that time, because this was back in, let's see, late 70s, early 80s, the rod technology was changing and frequently. So it was cool because then I would get new technology. And so they would switch them out and give me new ones as I was growing too. And I have one, it's really cool. It's called a Bailey rod. It actually grows with you. So I think it ended up slipping at some point, but it was attached to like my knee and my ankle. And it was cool because it would like grow with me like a telescoping rod. And so it would keep growing. Then at some point, I think like my ankle, like it detached from wherever it was supposed to be. And then it stopped growing with me. But that's the only one that I have that actually kept growing. But I'm only 5'1". I didn't grow very much. So those rods at some point, they're just, they didn't need to replace them for length reasons. But yeah, 24 was the last one. That was the one that they needed to take out that was bent. And then they put in the other one, and that's been it.
And that was your last surgery?
Yep.
Awesome.
Do you deal with any chronic pain as a result of your condition and all of this?
Yeah, I did. I did for a long time. I was, that's the second half of my story, where once I started walking, I didn't really do anything. I was afraid to move. I was always, being protective of myself, and so my health was very bad. It went downhill from like 20s and 30s, and I was having chronic pain like every single day. I mean, I would, my hips, my back, like was just always in pain. My legs, knees, everything. Even though I was trying to walk, even though I could walk around, it was painful to do anything. So mostly that's where my pain was, lower body. And then, once everything kind of came to a head, and I, needed to go through my physical transformation, that's when I kind of changed everything about my life and started doing things differently. So now I don't have any chronic pain because I exercise and I eat right and I have a different mindset about it. So now it's a whole different story. But I know that, there were years that I was having chronic pain just all the time. And I know a lot of OIers that go through that.
How'd you manage it when you were having it?
When I had it, man, just taking Advil. I would take just over the counter stuff. I never was into too many like hardcore meds, but as many Advils as I could take, it was my thing. So I would take Advil. I would not move. That was another one. I'm like, okay, if I don't move, I won't be in pain. And what else? Yeah, that was about it. I mean, those two were my big kind of things to
And
not have the pain.
is it like us, where obviously the cold weather months, more painful than the summer months when today pain is very little today because it's nice, it's sunny, got some sunshine for a couple hours this morning, so no pain today. But if
Yeah.
it's cloudy, overcast, and cold, then pain. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, for sure. I remember, like, I would say there were times because I'm from Los Angeles as well. So of course in LA, like it's very different as far as like what we consider cold and hot, right?
Yeah,
The weather
we're
changes.
we're
So
we're babies here in LA.
yeah,
We're big babies when it comes
exactly.
to
Like
'We're not
62.
babies. We're smart. We're staying here in the beautiful sunny Southern California area.
exactly, exactly. So I would definitely feel it. I would feel it like in my hips mostly. I would feel the cold, and then I would feel it like in my bones. And I'm not sure if it was because of the rods or not. I would feel it kind of like in my thighs, right? I would feel like cold coming, and I could tell like when it was gonna get colder. It was really weird. So I experienced that for like many years. And it's funny because my wife and I just moved out to Detroit recently, like about 3 years ago. And so it's Midwest, and we get the cold here, and it's great because I'm now that I'm healthier, I don't experience it as much. So like in the cold weather, I feel okay, and it's not too crazy for me anymore. I don't get the pain that I used to. But I could just imagine if it would have been the years before, I would have been like every OIer that I talk to, they're like, why would you move to the Midwest? That is insane. They think I'm crazy for moving to a place where it snows because they're all trying to get out of the snow. So they're like, why would you move out of LA? Go back to Los Angeles. So yeah, it's a running joke with me now when I talk to my fellow OIers. They're like they laugh at me for moving to a place where it snows. But yeah, the pain now is not as bad when it does get cold. So I'm pretty lucky when it comes to that.
Yeah, I feel like that's super similar for us to like as far as telling when the cold weather comes. That's like the same when you have a spinal cord injury. I think anytime you have hardware in your body and stuff like that, like you're just that weather signal.
Hmm.
Kind of know when that's coming, and pain just increases. Um, but yeah, I do agree that's crazy to move to the Midwest from California.
No, no, unless you're paying me gobs and gobs of money. I mean gobs. I'm sorry, Tony.
You're paying,
I
you're
could.
paying yourself. You're paying yourself gobs of money because of the cost of living. So Much
That's
cheaper
true.
out there. It's gonna count.
Well, that was a big reason. We still have our place. We still have a place in Joshua Tree, California.
Oh, cool.
So that's the high desert. That's like the complete opposite of out here. But and so we're kind of splitting time between both. So I get to experience both coasts, which is nice.
There you go. There
I
you
was
go.
gonna say,
Yeah.
like, that's not too shabby. Like, head out to the high desert for the worst months and the Midwest, and it's like strike a decent balance. But it can get pretty bitter cold in the high desert too. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. We realized that like the first year, so we moved out to Detroit in October, and then it was winter time, and then we went out to back to Joshua Tree. I think that we didn't go the first year, and then the second year we're like, well, let's do the snowbird thing. Let's go back out to the desert during the winter. We got out there, and it snowed in Joshua Tree, and we were like, what are we doing?
So
So
it's like
yeah,
4,000 feet right at the base of the Sierra Nevadas and stuff. Like, I mean, it gets cold and it gets some crazy
yeah,
weather. The reason I know so much about it is because my family lives in the high desert. At least some of my family does. So, shout out to all the desert folk
right.
because it's cool, fun, beautiful living out there. That's for sure. If a little isolated. I just want to shout out some peeps in the chat real quick.
And you beat me
Yo,
to it, Tom.
Leon for the kind words. Tom is the funniest guy, impressively smart too. Ooh, baby, you making me feel good, Leon. Thank you so much for the kind words. Right back at you, dude. Appreciate the love. We got Chris in the chat. We got Donald. We have our friend Andrew at the Mediterranean Sea along the
I know.
coast of Gibraltar.
He's like
Dude, I don't
everywhere.
know what you're doing these days, man, but give me a call, dog, because if you got an extra seat on some of your travel expeditions, I might be game, dude. But that is super awesome. And it's nice to know that somebody in the Live to Roll fams watching from, the Mediterranean Sea out there. Like, that's pretty wild. But definitely like the beautiful power of the internet. We got Crypto Rob, I think I already said, Chris, everybody. We appreciate all you guys. Shawn Kelly, Miss Leah Fluke, Donna, the whole Fluke squad. We love you guys, and we appreciate everybody that is here with us, hanging out, listening to us jabber on, and make you guys more aware about a really interesting condition that a lot of
Yeah.
people in the U.S.
And actually, I'm dying, Chris. Chris, our book series, our favorite book series, is coming out next month. So can't wait for our next edition of our book series. So
What
he was,
can I ask what the series is?
and I knew you were going to put me. It's
Oh,
terminal
Bobby.
terminal list.
Okay.
So
Who's the
he was
author? Do you
wearing
know?
the hat and his emblem on his hat at the expo. All of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I know that emblem because I read the books, and so we have that
Cool.
little thing in common. So I can't wait. And then Chris R said, it ain't so bad as long as there's no hurricane. Well, there's not that many, but Baton Rouge, it would be pretty nice to live in. More, I wouldn't be worried about the hurricanes. It's more the and you have to tell us, Donald, the humidity. That's what I would worry about. The humidity is that.
Also, I feel like in a chair, our legs are dangerously accessible to alligators, and I don't know how I feel about that. Live in Louisiana or somewhere like that. All right.
That's a legit concern right there.
So, going back to, with OI, breaking bones and stuff like that, do you hear in common that SCI is related that after breaking, maybe the back, so our back, our neck, with the spinal injury, have you heard cases of those with AI when they break a back, the vertebrae and their, could you sustain a SCI from that easier than the norm? I mean, by like maybe falling on your tailbone and it could cause a spinal injury.
Yeah, I know it's definitely a major concern amongst the OIers. That's always a question that comes up in like a lot of the groups, and even when people talk with me about doing fitness coaching, they always ask about that. They're like, "Well, I can't, do a lot with my spine. I'm worried. I don't want to. I don't want to fracture my spine." And I mean, yeah, absolutely, that is a major concern for us. I don't know. I mean, it's That's a great question. I don't know any OYers that have had spinal cord injuries like that and who have become paralyzed. It's an interesting question. I would like to find out more even within my community to see who might have OI and also be a spinal cord injury. Yeah, it's a good question. I know it's a definite concern. So people are very aware of making sure that we protect our spines. And most of the time, anybody with a more severe type of OI will get spinal fusion, will get their vertebrae fused, they'll get rods and hardware put in their spine early so that it like protects it. So that's another thing that OIers will do.
Hmm.
Well, knowing that, I feel like there has to have been some cases of some people with OI that ended up having spinal cord
Yeah.
injuries. Because and that's what's crazy. There is like so much crossover with that because even once you have the spinal cord injury, our bones become brittle. We get just more like osteoporosis because of not weight bearing and not putting the pressure. So
Yeah.
yeah, just more of that little bit of the brittle bone stuff too. And so yeah, there's so much crossover within disability. That's why it's great to share all these different disabilities because we are
Yeah.
all one community here.
Yeah. You
Good
never know.
visual.
I know I've worked with a few folks that have had spinal cord injury, um, that have trained with me a few times where they've come and we've done a few workouts or I've kind of instructed on some upper body work to do. And so yeah, there's a lot of crossover when it comes to that, and just the thoughts behind having fragile bones, osteoporosis, osteopenia. I'm always diagnosed with that, by the way. So no matter what doctor I go to, and I just recently had a DEXA scan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're osteoporotic, how do you say it? Osteoporotic, I think is the word. I don't know, but like that's a big deal, right? They say, "Oh, you have osteoporosis, osteopenia." They start listing down these things, and I'm like, "Well, not really. I just have OI, and so all those other things are gonna show that that's what I have as well." So yeah, there's tons of crossover with that.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
there
you want to
is.
also, I mean, I know we're trying to spread awareness for OI, and if we have any other questions in the chat, I want to bring them up and stuff. But you want to also talk about some of the other stuff you do, like you doing fitness training, um, your DJ stuff. You got one book out, and I know you were going to maybe make an announcement exclusive to the Live to Roll channel here on the show today. Will be the
Yeah, yeah.
first to hear. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about a little bit about just your? You can start with just your training stuff because you were just transition to that first. Some of the fitness
Yeah.
training you do, let people know.
Yeah, so basically I went through a huge physical transformation when I was 42. That was about 10 years ago, and it was a major time in my life. I wrote about it in my first book, Disable Your Disability, Live the Healthy Life You Deserve. And so I wanted to tell my story because I really learned how to embrace my disability to figure out how to get and stay healthy. So once I kind of went through it myself, I was like, man, I want to help other people do the same thing. Not just OIers, but anybody who just feels limited, feels like they can't do it, whether they have a disability or not. But I wrote the book, and after, as I kind of came out of my transformation and I wanted to help others, I wrote the book, and I'm like, well, actually, this happened before I wrote the book. And as I was writing the book, I was like, in order to help people, I really should get some sort of training with this. So I became a certified personal trainer. So I went through the NASM training, National Academy of Sports Medicine, and that's my certificate up on the wall right there.
Nice.
And so I went through the training. I'm like, let me get certified so I know what I'm doing, because I kind of knew what I did because I went through it. But to actually train somebody, it's a whole different story. So I wanted to learn how to do it and learn more about biology and function and all that stuff. And certain names of muscles and et cetera, et cetera. So I went through the training, got my certification, and just started training people one-on-one and doing virtual training, because I knew that a lot of my fellow OIers, which was like kind of my audience to begin with, was all around the world. So I started, learning how to train online. And then eventually started an online platform called Unbreakable Body, where I could like bring people in and do, and I could create videos for them and do that sort of thing. And so I've been doing that for, gosh, 2018, I think I launched Unbreakable Body and the training. So that's been going on since then. And then this month, actually, fingers crossed, I'm launching a brand new coaching program that's called Stronger Bones. And it's going to be a group coaching program that is specifically geared towards getting stronger bones and building stronger bones. So it's, again, it's for anybody with any concern with their bones, whether they're fragile, whether they have osteoporosis, osteopenia. So it really, opens it up to a wider audience other than just like OIers. But a lot of OIers are signing up on the wait list already to get into it. But that's going to be kind of the new program, because I really want to focus more on something specific, because for me, it's been all about that. It's been all about, how can I strengthen my bones and strengthen my body to protect myself and make sure that I'm getting stronger. And so now I've really, figured out certain certain ways to do it. So through exercise, through nutrition, through mindset, especially, and consistency and accountability. That's what the new coaching program is all about. So that's what I'm doing on the fitness front. I'm DJing. Of course, I've been DJing like since I was a kid. So I DJ all the time. I got a show called The Unbreakable Mix Show. It's every Monday, and I stream it on Twitch and on my website. And it's really fun. It's all music, movement, and motivation. So I play music. We all kind of get dancing, and then it's great because I can do little motivational talks throughout the show. So every show will have a different topic, and then I just do little, 10 minutes on a topic. I do a little motivational speaking, and then we get back to the music. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, and then the special announcement. So my book is Disable Your Disability, Live the Healthy Life You Deserve. That was my first book. I wrote that and released it in 2017, but I have a brand new book coming out. And I think this is the first time I'm actually saying it in public, the title of it, exclusive right here on Live to Roll, everybody. The name of the new book is called Advice to Be Unbreakable. Advice to Be Unbreakable. And it's your guide to overcoming challenges, embracing uniqueness, and cultivating a mindset of resilience and positivity. How's that for a subtitle? So yeah, that is the new book. And it's going to be, I'm just finishing up. I'm tying up all the final pieces of it, and I'm looking to release that at the beginning of June. So that's going to be the new wave of my writing. I'm so excited to get this new book out.
That's amazing, Tony. I think it's a really impressive achievement to write a book in the first place, let alone a second book. Again, no spoilers from it, because we do want to read it in the book. But that is one of the questions I was going to ask you towards the end. How did you discover your resiliency and your positivity? So, and embrace it and live it and showcase it in such an amazing way. I think it's a little hard for some people to feel resilient or to feel positive all the time like that. So can you maybe just speak on that for a minute?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's been really a few different steps. So the first step was just being willing to understand that I needed to do personal growth, like personal development. Like that was a big deal for me in my life. And it can be at any age. It can be in any age. I've always been creative. I've always been doing things creatively and kind of put myself out there creatively. Like I said, I was DJing for many years. I did music for many years. I was a rapper. I guess I'm still am a rapper. I guess that never leaves you, but I did a bunch of like hip hop albums. I got on stage. I toured. I did a bunch of stuff. I released records. I did a lot of acting. I got into the entertainment industry, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. And I think through like all of those experiences, and then eventually getting into motivational speaking and doing that sort of thing, I think for me, it was really touching base with who I am and understanding all of the important achievements that I've had throughout my life. So that was a big deal, because sometimes we'll just kind of go through life and we'll achieve stuff and we'll do big things, but we don't ever stop to acknowledge them. And so a big thing for me was really looking back and understanding all of those big things that I had done, all of those times in my life when I was resilient and I didn't even recognize it and I didn't even acknowledge it. And so that's helped me to really cultivate this mindset. And the positivity, I've always just been a positive dude. Like I'm always just looking on the bright side and really trying not to, be too negative. Of course, we're all human, and I've had my spells and I've had my time, but I've always seen bad outcomes come from those times of negativity. So for me, it's always been, how do you find the bright side? Because as soon as we find the bright side, we can have goodness and we can have joy and we can have happiness, and that can be all the time. And so, this book really came out of me sharing information and sharing ways that I've done it through the mix show. A lot of the topics that I talk about in the book came from talks that I did in the mix show. And so it covers everything. It covers everything from, being willing to change to how to build a good supportive team, how to look at your life and reboot it in certain ways. Everything from, gosh, I'm blanking on like chapters right now, but there's 40 chapters. There's 40 pieces of advice in this book, and it's all about that. It's all about just finding ways to combat anything that might be negative coming your way, because things are going to come, but we can always turn it around and make sure we come out positive on the other side.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful, dude.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
It's great.
It's not an easy thing.
You left us speechless there, Tony.
I'm like, did I answer your
like
question? I'm like, sometimes I'll just kind of go, and I'm like, so sorry if I didn't.
No, you hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. It's not an easy thing to maintain your positivity. It's not an easy thing to stay motivated all the time, especially in a lot of the circumstances we find ourselves in, like living with disability and stuff. There's a lot of adversity. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of bullshit like pain and accessibility, and the list goes on and on and on. But I think it's really important to learn how to find that frame of mind where you can see the positive and maintain your positivity. And just like you said, like it's okay to not, everybody's human. Like, you don't gotta be a shining example of positivity all the time, but being able to course correct too. I wonder. I think I'm a pretty positive guy. Sometimes it's harder than others. I'll be going through my spells sometimes too. But did growing up with your disability help grant you maybe a little bit different perspective and understanding too? At least I feel like that's my situation a lot. Like, going through so much adversity in my adolescence, like it just gave me a lot of perspective. Like, going through like so much trauma and bullshit and hardship when I was younger, it just made me see the world in a much different way, or really, really early on, and maybe kind of like realize the beauty that exists in the midst of all the hardship and all the adversity. So I just wonder if that was a similar experience for you.
I think so. Yeah, I think looking back on it now, going through all of that with my disability, it kind of taught me what hardship is, right? And it gives us a different perspective on what hardship really means. And we all have it. We all have hardships, but it makes us kind of focus on it a little bit more. And so we have a better understanding of it. And that's not judgmental, but I mean, I think that it gives us a little bit more of a different perspective so that we can look at others and we can maybe see hardships that we wouldn't think would be hardships just in general, like as a society, but we can see it and we go, yeah, that is a hardship. That is difficult to get through that. So it makes us more empathetic, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. We definitely have more empathy. And when you're more empathetic, you're just generally more of a positive person anyway, because you don't want to get to a pity party. I talk about that. No pity parties. Don't invite me to those. But that's the thing. When you're empathetic, you understand what people are going through. So I think as someone with a disability, we absolutely understand a little bit more on both sides, where it's like someone may complain about something that's a hardship and everyone else is like, oh, that's no big deal. But we see it and we're like, heck yeah, that's a big deal. And so we can connect and we understand a little bit better, right? And then on the other side, someone that's complaining like way too much, and you're like, come on, dude, that's not really that bad. So let's talk about it. Let's rein it in and let's get you on a positive note. So I absolutely agree. I think, having the disability and just, growing up with it and everything that I went through, all the hardships that I did endure, absolutely has given me a different perspective and allowed me to be more positive, because I would rather do that. I'd rather be positive because that just brings so much more positivity into my life.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm reading Unbreakable behind you, but I just keep thinking back to that phrase. It's like, if it doesn't break you, it makes you. Like going
Yep.
through the struggle, making it to the other side, finally seeing the light does reforge you into something stronger, into something more, with more utility, with more function. Like, I mean, it really does make you into something more and grant you that better perspective and stuff. So it's just, really, really cool words. Really inspiring story, Tony. And we appreciate you taking all the time to hang out with us and help share some of that with the Live to Roll fam too, because I think at the end of the day, that's really what we're trying to do here. A lot of the time is, support one another and help teach each other and help, reforge all of us into something stronger.
Because we're stronger than our breaks, like my shirt says.
Stronger.
That's it, baby.
Stronger than my
That's
breaks,
it.
stronger than my breaks, no matter what. And it's a quote that I have at the beginning of the book. It's like, look, we may break, but at the moment that we break, we start to heal. And that's magical. So we just have to remember that the healing begins like immediately after you break. And that's what's really cool about life, is that we can immediately begin to heal through any break. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I'm always the, Pollyanna of the group, but I don't mind because, at the end of the day, we're all going to be on this positive note. So I'm going to be there and I'm going to uplift and encourage anybody that I can.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the day, here I was, but, wanting to be a professional athlete, and the day I was broke, I just said to myself, well, okay, now's the new beginning to create something out of this. And that was, live every day like it's your last. Live every day like you're going to make some differences in this world. And, and there was only one way to do that, and that's, try to be positive every day. We have our hard days, yeah, but you know what?
Bobby,
Life goes on.
you
Because
just
what's up?
I'm taking all my money. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to the strip clubs, getting a lot of recreational
There you
drugs,
go.
living my day like it's my last, baby. I'm just
There
kidding.
you go.
Be
That's
careful,
what you
man.
do.
Be
That's what
careful.
you
Come on.
do. And that's the way I said it. That's the way I thought of it. And, and I, trust me, we all have our hard days. And, but remember, everybody has a hard day. And remember that you can make something out of what your life can be, disability or not. Somebody says, wow, when you get that, oh, you're so brave. And it's like, well, I think you're just as brave. You still have to get up and,
Right.
let's say, go to work at 7 a.m. You still have to pay your mortgage. There's only one little difference. I have a disability. It doesn't make me any better than or stronger than you. We can all be unbreakable. We can all be strong, and we can all be willing to live life to the fullest.
It's funny when
Absolutely.
somebody tells me that nowadays. I go, damn straight. I'm way braver than you, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You
Well,
should.
I'm
You
a
should.
I'm on a goofy one today, you guys. Forgive me. Forgive me.
No. But I'll never forget a homeless man. I came out of my van, and I was going to the bank, and he just looked at me and he goes, wow, I thought I was having a rough day. And I'm like, I so just wanted to shake him and go, trust me, I'm not having anything. You're having way rougher than I am. I'm sorry, buddy, but
Exactly.
I'm glad I have a roof over my head. I'm glad I know where my next meal is coming from. Thank the blessing and the hard work that myself and my family provide for that. And So just because you saw a wheelchair doesn't mean that I'm having a harder day than you.
That's right. We all have a different level of what hard is. I've got, one of the chapters in the book is, does it have to be hard? And so it's an interesting kind of dive into what that means. And so I can't wait for this book to come out. I want to give you guys each a copy of it so you can read it and let me know your thoughts. Can I address something really quick?
Yeah.
Donald Brown in the chat, he's just saying that he's finding positivity, more difficult for him. And Donald, like, I want to get your information because I want to send you my book, man. I want to send you my book and I want you to connect with me because, hey, it's all about who you surround yourself with. It's all about who you're, what you're watching and where you're getting connected to. Of course, you're connected here on Live to Roll, and these guys are great and positive. So this is a great start. But, I'd love to connect with you because nobody needs to feel that way. You don't need to feel that way. And we can definitely, connect and get you some encouragement and uplifting.
And also, just so you know, you're not alone in that too, dude. Like the older I get, that's honestly how it's been feeling lately. The harder it is to maintain the positivity, to kind of keep my normal disposition, to not be upset and angry and lonely and tired all the fucking time. But you're not alone. You're not alone, dude. And like that's really
That's right.
what's helped me a lot too, is knowing that I'm not alone. Like it does give me solace, like it gives me grace and like makes me feel better knowing that like, there are other individuals out there who feel and experience the same stuff that I experience. Really. And you're not like I just know how hard it does feel like when you do feel totally alone. Um, you're not alone. You're not alone in those feelings. We're all here together. We're all here to support and love one another. I'm really glad that you're here hanging out with us at Live Troll because it does help make me feel better. It brightens and lifts me up. And I hope that we can do the same for you a little bit. And you're absolutely right. Like, reach out to Tony, reach out to us. Donald, love to, maybe get more personal touch too, if that's what you feel like would
Yeah.
help.
Donald,
We're here, man. We're here, dude.
Donald, if you still have my number, call me because I do have a question for you. And I know we talked some time back in the past, and maybe it would be a good idea. I'm looking for a guest on Thursday. I lost my guest I was supposed to be on, and we have a show coming up this Thursday with Rolling Over the Hill. So Donald, we talked about it. Love to have you because aging, our Rolling Over the Hill is about aging, and aging is a scary thing. And my mom has been hospitalized for the last 3 weeks and in a nursing home right now, trying to get back to going home. But it just seems an aging person. Yeah, it's my mom, but anybody when we're getting old, older, it's a scary thing. What is our body's going to do? What is our mind going to do? So yeah, it can definitely be scary because I know, as much as I like to think of myself as, unbreakable, I know that as the older I get, that's the scariest thing. I'm not worried about getting old, but I worry about it as what my body's going to do when it does finally happen.
Yeah. No,
It's a big deal.
And yeah, like you guys, that's why I love our team and Tony and our guests, because as soon as something like that comes up and we see somebody in the community that needs some help, I think all of our first instinct is just to try to reach out and help. So yeah, Donald, make sure you do reach out. And I know the loneliness part, so just reach out, try to join some of these communities. And if you want, and I shouted this out in the beginning, but on Mondays Tony does a DJ set on Twitch, and it's honestly really good music. It's really fun and positive. I had a great time listening to it yesterday, and it's just something I'm gonna try to start making part of my routine. It's fun and it's positive. So just even little stuff like that, anything that can put a smile on your face, make you feel good for a while, I think helps. So just
and we can find that in our description, Shawn.
And what time? Actually, I do. I have Tony's website and his Twitch, both in the description below. And
what time
and you can get
my Twitch account. So
it's Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 3 to 4 your time. And you can get to it through my website. If you just go to TonyJacobson.com, you'll see the music page, and you can get to it there.
Awesome. So yeah,
Shout out Leslie in the comment, dropping the beautiful comment about our beautiful friend and co-host Bobby Rohan. We love Bobby so much, and as an inspiration for all of us. We love you, Bobby.
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
definitely. Appreciate Bobby was, if you didn't know, Tony, Bobby was the guy that came into my hospital room 20 years ago and like was like, hey, things are gonna be okay, check out these pictures of stuff I did, like I've done since my injury. Like, yeah, he was the one that came in and was like that positive like role model for me 20 years ago. So
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
model my body after Bobby. Look at that sexy belly button. Oh
You're
my
almost
God.
there, dude. You're almost there.
I'm
It's like so close.
I'm trying to look just like that, dude. Like I got a picture of Bobby in my wallet. Keep me motivated.
I'm trying to read
We do
Bobby's
it.
book. Bobby, you got your book out? What's up?
No, I've always been shy to tell that story. I don't know why.
Come on,
My
man.
mom kept razzing me for years to write a book, but I don't know. I always just go, who wants to hear my story? But this is why I
Trust me.
love. This is my story.
Honestly,
Here's my book right here. Is when I can be on
Yeah.
with. Thanks for Shawn for adding me to his platform here and being here every Tuesday with you guys and some Thursdays and when sharing my story and I love that part of it and I don't know, maybe one day a book will come, but
Oh, I'll go straight for you, Bobby. Don't worry about it.
there you go.
I got you.
Yeah, there
Do
you
we
go.
want to run through our ads real quick and call our shows?
yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we can get like a final thought from Tony as well as we end. But yeah, let's just real quick make sure to thank our sponsors. We
Shout
do
out. Go
go
ahead,
for it.
Shawn. All right.
All right,
We're doing it.
so shout out, I'll do mobility professionals, you can do urology, we'll switch.
There
So
you go.
yeah, our sponsors, mobility professionals, they are a local DME company here in Southern California. So if you are in Southern California and need any type of mobility aid, wheelchair, walker, shower chair, anything like that, give them a call. Great customer service. They'll help you get everything situated with your insurance and get it going. So give them a call. Great people, always supporting the community locally here. And Tom, tell them about urology professionals.
Everybody's got a fee. Some of us do it a little bit differently. If you need catheter supplies, any kind of urological supplies, any help in that regard, urology professionals got you covered. They are national as well, so anywhere in the beautiful US of A, if you find yourself in need of any kind of urological supplies like that, do yourself a favor, give them a call, give them a Google, reach out and get some help and get switched up to a really reliable provider. Oh, Shiny Boys,
Come on, you all right?
He's down.
Yeah,
That was the biggest spasm I've ever
man down.
I can't lean back.
Okay.
We're live, folks. We're live.
Damn, that was a
This
spasm.
is live TV, y'all.
Sean
Oh,
almost
man.
fell out of his whip.
All right.
That would have been.
Mike
That would.
Kimmel. Yeah, so
Are you good, man? Are you good?
I'm okay. I was just I could feel a spasm building up. Let me see if I can click back to
What do you need here?
hit Z.
Yeah, get me off
There we
this.
Yeah.
But yeah, my I had been spasming and my legs kind of tucked under the foot plate, and then my stomach just decided it was gonna fold. But that's like
Back on
Calm down.
Damn.
Calm down.
whew,
That
but-
always works. That's why we have to. That's why I move a lot when we're doing our podcast too. Because if you're just sitting too long and then that first movement,
I do
Black
try
That's
to-
You're
pretty
okay,
wild.
man.
I do try.
That was
to
pretty
stay
intense.
Somewhat mobile and move, and keep loose, but that was yeah, that was. If Leah wasn't in here right now, I might have ended up on the floor.
I thought you were.
We would've
Almost,
lost
I thought you
the
were
rest of
there
the show.
almost.
I thought. Well, first I was like, dang, that's a crazy spasm. Then I thought you were falling out of your chair. Then I wasn't sure if you were spazzing or what was going on. There was a whole range of emotions that happened right there. But I'm glad that-
I wanted to reach through and like help. I'm like, dude, I gotta.
I
wanna
know. I
just
was like,
reach through and like help you.
Yeah, that was a little bit crazy, but I do. So for people that don't know, I've posted some of the videos and stuff. I do have really high level of spasticity, and when I do sit still for a long period of time, it tends to build up. I've been trying to use, for most people that are familiar with the channel, I used to smoke a lot of weed, cannabis to do that. Now I'm trying to do more edible dosing, which does help, but I didn't take my afternoon one that I should have taken, and
Smoke weed every day.
maybe my body's feeling it. I don't know, but it's yeah. Uh, so both of my feet tucked behind the foot plate, and then I spasmed forward, so I didn't have anywhere for my feet. Like I just started falling out of the front of the chair.
Once your feet goes behind.
Have you ever fallen on the floor like that?
From a spasm,
Yeah.
like twice, I think.
Now, let me ask you a little theoretical question. If Leah wasn't there and we weren't live and you fell on the floor, what's the game plan? What do you do?
Well, I'm pretty sure my grandma's watching.
I
I would have, I would have just
Let's say we're
yelled.
not live. Let's say you're in the studio by yourself. What do you like? What do you do?
Oh, if I wasn't live and nobody else was in here watching, I typically try to have my cell phone on my lap, like most of the time, or within a reachable distance. So I would have hoped if I went down, it was on my lap and I have it somewhere near me I could grab. Um, but yeah, or
you have Alexa in
and I do
your.
actually have one in here, so I actually could have done
Yeah.
like tell it to call somebody for some help. So
This is
And
where my watch would go off and go, "Have you fallen?" And I guess if you fall and you don't say something in like I don't know 15, 30 seconds, it will call 911 for you.
Dude, that's cool. Is that the Apple Watch?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch all this smart technology because I did fall like 5 or 6 weeks ago transferring. It was the first time in 10 years of living in my apartment. I was transferring my foot just like you, Shawn. Like it spasmed in, got hooked behind my foot plate. My butt was really far forward, and I ate it onto the floor. Like fell fully, and I was stuck on the ground for like an hour and a half, and my phone was up on my bed, but I was able to use Siri to make a call, and not just make a call, but a call on speaker so that I could like hear and communicate with my person that I called, and it did it like perfectly. And my sister came by with a friend, and they got my ass up off the floor, and I was like mobile enough like to sit up and get myself semi comfortable and like pull some pants on and stuff, which was always like my biggest worry is like, being buck naked, having to call 911 and get rescued by some firefighters or something. But this is just a reminder for all people listening who it just is inevitable. Hopefully you never fall, but the reality is everyone falls at least once, maybe even more than once, and that's okay. That's why we prepare. That's why we make sure we have tools around us or people around us to help make sure that we don't get stranded or hurt ourselves too bad or get stuck in a way that we can't unstuck. So just a little friendly reminder. Thanks for that friendly reminder, Shawn.
no problem. Whatever I can do to just to educate.
So we'll have to rename our show. Having Tony on, watch to the end because we have some big announcements from Tony, and maybe somebody fell out of their chair. A long title. I know it's not going to generate, in our algorithm, but hey, at least somebody might be like, "Hey, might have to watch this till the end."
I'm
And,
just
and
can I just say
yeah,
I'm mostly impressed that like, dude, your hat stayed on. I mean, the hat didn't come off, and that's what I'm most impressed by. The way
Well, and
to
I
have
love
the
Buy the merch.
I love it.
And I love it that Leah, she would just like kind of put an arm, but she didn't want to get in camera view, like to be like really get under your shoulder. She was just like, here, let me try
She
to help
also,
you
I think she
without
was trying
getting
to
on
avoid
camera.
getting kicked too. She said. But yeah, that was a little bit of a little sidetracking here at the end of the show. Little-
I know, dude, Shawn, you should have taken the fall because then we would have had a viral clip on our hands. More
There
subscribers
you
for the.
go.
Sometimes you got to take one for the team, homie. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch that back and see what that looked like on the camera.
I know once in a while I'll be coaching, and I'll do like, all right, or working out, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. And so far I haven't fallen during a workout or
Just
coaching, but It's
Just
been where
promise
I
not
got.
to judge. Just promise not to judge our reactions. We definitely weren't pointing and laughing at you while you were
Oh yeah,
nearly
oh yeah,
fighting for your life. I'm just kidding.
oh yeah.
No, but that was a little wild. Thank you guys. The chat's funny too. Leah said I was trying to eat the table, I guess, and yeah, Chris asked if it was vegan, so I guess.
All right, Leah,
And
that's your job. In the next 24 hours to get that clip out and put it up on our
I,
Instagram.
that probably will be up on the Instagram and Facebook. So check
I'm
that
glad you didn't bust a lip or something though, because I don't know, like
Yeah.
I honestly was definitely hitting my face on the keyboard and the desk. I was, but it didn't come down hard onto it. It was more just like rubbing, like like.
Well, for a second, I'm like, is
All
he
right.
reaching down for something? And then all of a sudden, once the shaking started happening, I'm like, oh no, he's going down.
I was afraid actually that I was tipping the desk over and my computer was gonna fall off the back of the desk because I have the iMac, like I have the big iMac. Like I was like, oh shit, don't let the computer fall off. That was actually what my first thought was no, not the computer, not the computer. but all right, we can get back to wrapping up the show here, I guess. Look for that clip coming up on social media.
And you might have to go change your pants too.
We'll see. Wow, but yeah, that was good, Tony. I'm glad you were here to witness that. And
Tomorrow-
Never a boring time here. Never a boring time.
that's right. All right, so trying to move on here a little bit. Tomorrow we got Tom coming up with some gaming with T Fizzle, 5 p.m. Pacific time / 8 Eastern.
if Shawn schedules it this week.
I got it scheduled. It's up there. It's on there already. I got it. Last week we had a little bit of a gaming mishap. We had no gaming last week, so I apologize to everybody that is following the gaming and on it. So, and also make sure to join the Discord. We do have a Discord as well if you're interested not only in talking gaming but just general talk if you want to hang out. So yeah, we got that, and then we got Bobby coming back on Thursday with the guys rolling over the hill talking about aging with the disability. I know trying to switch up the guests now, so we'll see what we got going for the Thursday, but make sure to tune in for that 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then next week we'll have another gaming on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, or 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Tom and so I'd like to start when between the 5 and 6 hour. So make sure to tune in. We'll of course be back on the Tuesday again with another live Live to Roll show for you guys. And then after that we got the third week, or the week after, we have the women coming up with Wheel Girl Talk. So make sure to check the girls out as well. And last week, just shout out all the shows. We had Rolling with the Golden Oldies, and they actually talked about motherhood and what that was like, having children and raising children with their disabilities. So make sure to check that out if you missed it. And look for that fall clip coming up on our Instagram if you're not following.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. Happy Mother's Day to my mama, Alice, love ya. Mama Conaway. Happy Mother's Day to Donna, Shawn's mama. Happy Mother's Day to Bobby's mother. Hope your mama's feeling all right after everything you guys have been going through last week, and all the other moms out there. We love you guys, and without you, we would not be here or exist. So we owe it all, and we're gonna try to give our thanks and our love.
So yeah, thank you to all the mothers out there. We appreciate you guys, and yes, definitely hope everyone has a happy Mother's Day this weekend. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to follow Tony's info down there below. Follow him on Twitch. Also, just check out his website for that new book coming out this start of next month. And yeah, check us out again. We'll be back. Live to roll. You guys.
Live to roll.